Hey, today I'm here with my good friend Wilson. We're in the Bonsai Club together, and he is doing some very exciting stuff. And I wanted to welcome him here today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, John. Thank you for inviting me. This is a great experience, great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. So let's just jump right in. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your background?
Yes, sir. I started in bonsai many years ago, actually. Um, when I was about 17 years old, I went to a mall with a friend of mine. During those days, malls were a thing. So, so we went to a mall, and they had this show right in the hallway with probably 50 or 60 bonsais. I've never seen a bonsai in my life before. So I saw those trees and I was like, what is this? I was fascinated and I started looking around and this, mind you, in the 80s, back home in Puerto Rico, I was kind of an oddball. I was a rocker, long hair, earrings, it's a 80s rocker. So most people would look at me and not try to talk too much to me. But as I was walking around looking at these trees, this little old man approached me and he spent well over an hour explaining to me about the trees and what they did with them and everything else. And when he finished all that, he invited me to a club meeting. It was the Caribbean Bonsai Club back in Ponce, Puerto Rico. So I said, yeah, I'll show up. I want to see what this is all about. And I went to the meeting and they were teaching classes and I was hooked. I decided I'm going to buy some trees and start doing this. And till this day, on and off, of course, because
Right.
life happens and I get married, children, I moved from Puerto Rico to the States, from the States to Puerto Rico and then back.
Okay.
So a lot of times I had to stop. Um, and that's how everything started.
Okay. The good origin. So you started earlier on. You didn't wait till you were 60 like me to start trying to make trees.
Well, I didn't know anything about. I've always been attracted uh, to the Japanese culture.
Hmm.
When I was younger, I did martial arts, Japanese karate and all that stuff, and I always thought it was very cool, everything that they did in Japan and everything else. But I was never introduced to bonsai until that day, and obviously it got me. It got me. But as I said, and John, you might need to interrupt me every once in a while because when I start talking, I don't shut up, right? But as I said, life happens, things go on, and for a while I stopped. For quite some time, I wasn't doing bonsai at all. And then, as you know, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was a
Right.
stage 4 cancer patient, and as I was doing treatment, this is in 2015. I was doing treatment, doing my chemo. I would find myself at the house by myself because my wife would have to go to work, my kids would be in school,
Right.
and I was feeling sick and depressed. And I started thinking, I need to get my mind busy with something. I can't be thinking about all this stuff. It wasn't positive. And what came to my mind was, what I really love doing is bonsai. So
Okay.
when my wife came home that day, I'm like, Nancy, what do you think? Uh, what if I get a couple of trees and I occupy my mind with them? And she said, yeah, let's go. We went to the nursery and we got three
Three.
trees for me to work on. And when I sat down, John, for the first time in weeks, I was in front of a tree, and I really didn't know much to do with this tree because one was a juniper, was I don't even remember what the other two were,
Right.
but I was used to working with tropicals, ficuses, tamarinds, stuff like that back home. So I didn't know what I was doing with these trees, but I was sitting with them, a couple of scissors, and just trimming away. And during the time that I was with those trees, I was not sick. I was not concerned. My mind was positive. I was with the tree. And that's why I tell people that for me it's therapy.
Such a calming experience. That's a pretty amazing story, to bring you back to the bonsai and just center yourself like that around the yard.
Yeah.
And I want your wife gave you permission to get 3 trees, and I'm sure you've stuck with that number and never gone over 3.
Well, now I have a nursery, so
Yeah.
yeah. So it started like that. And a lot of times when I talk to people and they say, "Oh, I would love to do bonsai," I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you what. When you get bit by the bug, the bonsai bug, you start with one, and after you work with that one, you want to keep working on trees, but you gotta wait now months before you do anything with this one. So you go get another one. And
Right.
next time you look."
Exactly. And so you found our club that we're in now.
Yes. That's when I started doing that. Of course, I figured, I wasn't a bonsai club in Puerto Rico. I gotta find a club. That'll help me get out of the house and socialize and talk to people who can teach me a little bit about the trees and how to deal with them here. Because it's very different, John. When I was back home, of course, we have 2 temperatures in Puerto Rico. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You have hot and hotter. That's pretty much it. So
Nice down there.
yeah, and you can grow trees all year round. I could in December I could take a ficus out of the pot, cut the roots, put it in soil, and even the bonsai soil was very different when I was there, over 20 years ago. Because we didn't have the ability to buy all the things that we can get now on the internet and all that stuff. So
Right.
I had to make my own soil with dirt and river sand and peat moss. That was pretty much it.
So you went out and collected the elements out of nature.
Out of nature, yeah. I had to go there was a creek next to my house that had pretty good sand. So I would go there, pull it out, let it dry, and sift it, and then use that with topsoil, actually, which is a kind of a no-no nowadays. But
Right.
I was using topsoil and peat moss, and that would be the mix that I would use for my bonsai. So when I start again here, of course, that's not a good soil mix, and I see why. And of course, I didn't even know the names of the plants. So I'm looking at all these trees, and I knew names in Spanish, or these are all in English, and none of these plants were back home. So I was like, oh wow, I felt like a true beginner, not knowing anything about these trees. But so I decided, let me see if I can find something. And originally, somebody told me about the club in Pensacola, actually.
Okay.
So I made a trip over there. I think it was a Tuesday night, and I went by myself, and I got there, and they were very nice. They talked to me and everything. But one of them looked at me and he says, "You're in Mariana. That's like 2 hours from here." I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of a trip." He says, "Well, there's a club in Tallahassee." I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, really?"
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware. So that he told me about the club in Tallahassee, and that's when I decided to contact you. I don't know if you remember, you were there the first time I showed up. You probably don't remember, but
I do remember when you came.
yeah, I came with my wife, and there was you guys were judging trees.
Right.
And those, right. And then the following month I came and joined. Yeah, and I'm so glad, because for anybody watching, if you're from the area, you really have to come to the Tallahassee Bonsai Club. A lot of good people, and I've learned incredible amount of things. We have people there that are very knowledgeable.
We sure do.
You being one of them.
I'm right with you. Maybe you're ahead of me by sure.
No.
For sure. But so now you're getting to that age where you're looking for something else to do now. So you've come up with your business. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. So what I did is, as I'm approaching retirement age, since I'm law enforcement, I can retire a little earlier than most people. Um, I decided, why not do something that I really enjoy instead of just go work on something else that I might not be so happy with. And I enjoy bonsai, so I decided to start a little bonsai business. It's called if I can show this, that's Small Town Bonsai. Oops, this way. Right.
That way.
There we go.
Yeah.
Small Town Bonsai,
And that's
and
the website name.
that's the website name, smalltownbonsai.com. And the purpose of the business is mostly to spread the art. See if I can spread the word and bring people into the art of bonsai. Hopefully, they'll have the same experience I had. Of course, it's always good to make a few bucks here and there. There's no reason not to. But my main goal is to put bonsais in front of people so they can see it and they can be like, oh, maybe I want to do this, and they can.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, big difference between a guy like me and a big bonsai nursery is that a lot of bonsai nurseries, obviously, they cater to the bonsai people. So you're gonna find really amazing trees, and if you're already into bonsai, I'm not at that level yet. Hopefully, one day I'll be there with them with really good material. But right now, my main thing is beginners bonsais, things that people can start with. If they've never done bonsais before, they can get some like this. Let me show you. Like this is one of the little trees that I sell.
Nice juniper there, right?
Right, a nice juniper, and they can start with something like that, and then I educate them on how to take care of the little trees, and we have a conversation about what they need to do in order to keep them alive.
Right.
What a lot of people tell me when they buy bonsai, oh, I kill bonsais. That's one of the things people say, right? Yeah. And truth be told, one of the secrets of the bonsai masters is that everybody kills bonsai.
Right.
At some
Killed
point,
a lot of trees.
Yeah. At some point in time, you want to learn how to deal with a tree, you're gonna end up killing one or two. That's part of the process. But I try to explain to them, a lot of times what happens is they buy something like this, one little juniper like that, right? And they put it in their living room, and 2 months later it's dead.
Right.
And nobody told them that this plant needs to be in full sun. They need water.
Yes. little food, a little water,
a little
air.
Little water, right? And all of a sudden their tree's dead. And it's like, yeah, you need to work with them.
Yeah.
So that's part of what I do in the little business, man.
Well, I know a lot of people, buy them off of these, pickup truck vendors, and they've got the rocked over tops, and the trees are already dead or near dead before you even buy them. So buying from you get a much healthier tree.
Right.
That's
the key for me. The health of the tree is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You'll see that a lot of bonsais that you buy from the internet, sometimes, if it's not a reputable company, like a lot of times they come from China or somewhere else. I'm not criticizing that, but the thing is, in order for these trees to be transported from another country, they can't be in bonsai soil. They have to be in that coconut. How do you call that? The coconut material.
Oh, the coconut husk. Yeah.
Right. So because that's neutral, and it doesn't allow for pests to be transported.
Okay.
Like that. So that would keep the tree alive, but it's not going to help it survive for long. So they need to be transplanted into better soil. And a lot of people just sell them like that, and a few months later, the tree is dead. I transplant all my trees. They're all in bonsai mix. They're not in crappy soil or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
And if the tree's not healthy, it's not leaving my nursery.
Right.
It's gonna be
And I wanted to ask, or you can tell me where you've been going. You go to like agricultural days and farmers markets and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I don't have a storefront. My backyard is my nursery. So
Yeah.
in order for me to put my product out there and be able to talk to people, I go to usually my home base is Mariana's Farmers Market. If I'm not at a festival, then
Okay.
I'm at Mariana's Farmers Market. Usually every Saturday from 7 a.m. till about 12. Other than that, I go to every festival I can go. I've been to the Wildflower Festival in Bloomstown, the Tupelo Honey Festival in Weewa. Um, well, I just recently went to oh Lord, this Saturday, I'm going to a little show that they have here in town to benefit Partners for Pets.
Okay.
So I do things like that just to be able to talk to people and get out there.
Okay. And then I assume that where you're going to be is on your website, right?
You got it. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I do have to improve. I need to be more diligent putting that in my website, but I definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And
With-
so if somebody in this central panhandle area has a festival, they want to contact you, they can get you through the website though, right?
They could get me through a website, yeah.
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 Okay.
I try to stay in this area at least for
Yeah.
now.
Well, that's what I mean in the central panhandle, you know.
Right. In this area, yeah. I'm trying to contact a few places in Tallahassee to see if I can start going to Tallahassee for different festivals. So there, I don't have anything for sure yet, but I'm hoping I can make it to the Celebrate Asia Festival. That would be
Oh, yeah.
that would be
That'd be
amazing
really-
if I can make it to that one.
That would be really good. So right now your trees, you have junipers, I know, you showed that, and you have what else?
I have junipers. I have two types of ficuses. I have Benjamina, and I have tiger bark ficuses. I have Scheffleras. I have Portulacarias. I have a few boxwood bonsais also. I'm working on azaleas. See if I can get them on there, and I'll keep expanding as I grow. But for now, that's basically my main thing. I got
More
two,
than doubled.
two varieties of juniper also. I have the Procumbent nana, which is very
Hmm.
very common, and I also have Shimpago.
Very beautiful trees.
Yeah,
Very.
beautiful trees.
I just picked one up at the swap meet, and it's just
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, Shimpagos are super nice, and the it's interesting because a lot of people that don't have a lot of experience with bonsai, they saw the Karate Kid movies and they think that junipers, Procumbent nanas are bonsai. And
Right.
so I get a chance to explain to them that bonsai is not the tree, it's the art, right? It's a
Mhm.
tree on a plate, so you can actually make a bonsai with any tree, and everybody's fascinated by that. And
Yeah, I know. I tell people that a lot, and it's just a shock to most people. You know, that you can choose whatever kind of tree you want,
yeah,
and there are no seeds or special trees.
right. And a lot of times I get the question like, "Did you grow this one from seed?"
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
That takes a lot of time. You
Takes a
know,
lot of time.
if you're growing for seed, you're maybe growing them for somebody else. You know,
Right.
You got 15 or 20 years to go.
Yeah, maybe for my great grandchildren or something.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah, I started out the same way. That's why I call my site the Bonsai Seed, because I started out trying to find bonsai seeds and found out, well, they didn't exist, and it's just regular seeds. And I started that, and some point after I joined the club, I realized, oh, you're never going to grow these little seeds and get anything to work with
Right.
in any time. Yeah. That's kind of.
It takes a long time. Some trees I want to get the seeds sometimes, and if they're fast growing, like I got some moringa plants, and you plant the seed, and 2 years later the trunk is like this thick. It's pretty thick. But that's not the norm.
Right. And do you feel that like just about anybody can successfully grow a bonsai if they work at it?
I do. I think if you're looking at me, I'm probably one of the least talented people in this planet. I mean, I can't do pretty much anything. The only talent I have is that I'm consistent. I try to stick with something for a long time until I get it. But I'm not very talented. I'm not very artistic. I just look at things and try to figure them out, and I don't go like, oh, I can't do this. And I just keep going. I mean, so anybody, and if you look at the way the Japanese people have done bonsai, they almost took away the art part of it. If you truly think about it, because they listed so many rules that you're supposed to follow, that if you go by those rules, well, you gotta, clean the top, clean the bottom, do the bifurcation, and it's very hard not to end up with a fairly decent bonsai.
Right, but it's very restrictive. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit because I've talked to people and plenty of people at the club, and they say you have one of the best eyes for bonsai creation of anybody, except that one guy, and in our club. And so you're very underplaying your skill level of making these artistic looking beautiful trees.
Well, thank you, but there's one guy in the club. I don't know if we're supposed to mention his name or not, but he is basically my teacher. So
right.
I follow whatever he says a lot of times, and when I look at trees, I'm like, let me see what he told me one time about things like this.
Right. Yeah, I've learned just about everything I've learned from him.
Yeah.
And so that's great.
So that's and a lot of times I tell people, well, this is what I think, but how about if you ask Les, just me?
Right.
But yeah, I do have, I think if I'm gonna say something positive about myself, is that I try to learn and try to apply what I learn. So, and I sometimes I question certain things because I make a lot of mistakes, but like one time Les mentioned, I told Les, hey man, I don't know why my bougainvilleas are doing so poorly, and he sent me some information about how much fertilizer I needed to use with them. I started working with them, and I have another friend over here. Unfortunately, he hasn't joined the club yet, but he does bonsai. He also mentioned that to me about fertilizing heavily the bougainvillea. So I'm like, I got two people mentioning this, so let me try it. And sure enough, my bougainvilleas are doing really well, and it's because I applied what I learned. And unfortunately, sometimes we forget that, right? We learn something and then we don't do it, and then we wonder why it didn't work.
I guess those tropicals, they come from where there's more lush jungle vegetation that's fallen, and they have that thicker, forest soil that they can draw more fertilizer and nutrients out of than we think about up here, where they come from originally. Yeah, that's
yes, and in Puerto Rico, for example, the soil is volcanic, and so it's very nutrient dense. You put anything on the ground and just water it. You don't even have to fertilize it because the soil is fertile. It's very fertile. When you use bonsai soil, for example, you don't have that. You have to provide the fertilizing aspect of it. So,
James used to get on us about not feeding our children.
Yeah.
When you don't fertilize your bonsai.
Yeah. So, and they do respond. It's amazing to me because it's just in a matter of a couple of weeks, they're letting you know, and that's what people say. When I tell people, well, the bonsai is talking to me, and that's what I mean. You can, at the beginning, you don't see it, right? But as you start working with the trees, and I spend all evenings out there, right? Every time I have a chance, I'm in the backyard working with my plants. And eventually you start seeing things and you're like, oh, this plant needs this, or this plant needs that. It's not, I'm watering it too much. Sometimes that you can tell by looking at the tree. It has too much water or not enough.
Right. So once you learn to read the signals, they're telling you exactly what needs to happen.
Exactly.
Because they know how to live out in the wild, but they don't know how to live in a pot.
And exactly, that's very unnatural.
Yeah. But not cruel, because they can live forever, theoretically.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, if they're pampered. Honestly, if you treat a bonsai properly, it's a pampered tree. Like, we provide everything they may need and some, right? So we're taking good care of them.
Exactly. Well, so I guess you're making bonsai available to a larger community, and that's a good thing because it's done so much. I know for me, and I assume for you too. And it's good that you're out there doing this. And do you have anything else that you want to say to anybody before we start wrapping up here? Any other?
Well, but that's basically it. The main thing about bonsai, honestly, is, for me, as I said, for me, it's therapy. For me, it's a way of. You could even see it as a way of life. If you look at how, if you would consider that trimming and wiring and making the gins, the dead wood and all that stuff, would be suffering, even though it doesn't equate as suffering for the tree. But if you look at that as suffering in life, right? A lot of times in life, we have to go through a lot of suffering in order to come out the other side as a beautiful thing. Like, the tree goes to a lot of suffering in order to become something beautiful, something that people look at and they go like, wow, this is amazing. So if we apply that same idea to our lives, right, we look at our suffering as we're being trimmed and wired and prepared to look much better, so people can look at us and say, wow, what a wonderful life it is, instead of, look at how messed up he is.
That's great that you brought that up, because that's like kintsugi, the repairing or healing with gold, when we did on the pots, because they've got breaks in the pots, but you repair it with gold and you move on.
Right. And now that was broken, now it's even more valuable.
Right, more beautiful. Yes, exactly.
More beautiful. Right.
So, well, I thank you for coming on with me today. I'm going to put the website. I'll put your website in the link to the video, and so people can contact you or look at your site and try to figure out where you're going to be. And I think you're doing great work here, and I wish you all the success in the world.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope whoever's watching this, if you're not in the Bonsai Club, come to Tallahassee, meet us, and come see us. And if you're in the area, come see where I'm gonna be. We can talk bonsai. I love talking about trees, so let's do bonsai together. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm signing off now. I've been with Wilson Sanchez, and he is at the
Small Town Bonsai.
smalltownbonsai.com, and I'll put that link in the notes, y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.